beat note in the VFM here. Hi, Bill. This is Tom, WA3KLR, south of Allentown, PA. Yeah, I think this Viking 122 VFO is getting worse. But it settles down after running about an hour. So I did see Bill for the first time on live streaming a couple hours ago. I don't normally get involved with that stuff. I don't have a computer here on the site, so I'm not horsing around with a PC. I'm just doing old style hamming, listening on my own transmitting antenna. I'm out in semi-rural area. So there you are. Yeah. I'm getting a little suntan since I'm not working 10.5 hours a day. And maybe I'll finish up the annual bush trimming tomorrow. I used to have, I think it was 44 bushes here when I bought the house 30 years ago. We've only planted a couple new ones, and I took a couple out right away. There were 2 giant ones right in front of the house. I said, that's stupid. So I pulled 2 out this year. One was dead, one was half dead. I think we're down to about 28. So, well, I got things to say that I want to make full buzzard on everyone. Wonder if BTK are set up, WA3KLR, Tom.
Yeah, hey, Tom. Yeah, we're all set up. I never wandered into the other room to shut off any of the transmitting equipment. I just ended my live stream, put the dust covers on the cameras, and I was ready to go do something else. My head was starting to hurt, listening to all the noise and carriers and everything. Who's got time to just get on 80 meters and throw carriers like that? It's pretty weird. Must be like guys from AM Facebook or something. I don't know. But, yeah. Hello, everybody. Dave, Tom. We're back. And I did fire the live stream back up. Dave convinced me. He convinced me to get back on the air and keep doing this. So, hey, my analytics are going to be in the toilet now, but, oh well.
Not my fault. Well, tell him what you're running. He probably knows, though.
Beat note with Bill signal.
Tom, Dave said to tell you what I'm running, but you probably know what I'm running.
Well, I don't know what you're running. And when I was listening to your live stream earlier today, is that the FEF SDR?
No, that's a web-based SDR that Mike K3FEF runs. I have a different, I have a live stream with video. It's got a view of the pan adapter and a waterfall display. There's a chat that you can go in there and type, and that's all displayed on the screen. There's a camera view of me at my operating position, and that's on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/amateurradiolive. And the link's also on my QRZ page. But as far as what I'm running, it's Johnson Viking 2 being externally modulated with the solid-state audio amplifier, 4-ohm output, a pair of toroidal transformers as a modulation transformer to bring that from 4 ohms up to about 3,000 ohms that the 6146s want to see. And that is going into a linear amplifier that Dave built back in the 90s with a YC156 tube. Yes, a tube with handles. And the antenna system is a open wire fed doublet, approximately 140 feet long and about 40 feet to the feed point with a double balanced tuner. So there you go. W2BTK back on a Saturday night.
W2BTK, November 4 Echo Delta Quebec.
November 4 Echo Delta Quebec. I heard you in there.
Okay, thanks for coming back, buddy. This is Henry in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Listen, we took a lightning strike here this afternoon, and I just got the amplifier back working. I'm just wondering if this thing sounds okay.
It sounds okay here. Dave, are you, or Tom, are you hearing Echo Delta Quebec out there?
It's kind of light, but he's making it to Beechwood Mountain, so I do hear you there, sir. W2 very weak. Over.
Yeah, I could hear him in there, but W2BTK, that's for Echo Delta Queen. As long as this thing sounds okay, I'm alright with it. I'll let you guys have the frequency. My name is Henry, and we're down here.
That's nice of him.
All right, Henry. Yeah, it sounded good, and thanks for checking in.
All right, thank you for the help. I really appreciate it. And for EDQ, Blue Ridge, Georgia, 73s. Thank you much.
Yeah, okay, WA3 Taylor, do I have it?
Hey, up.
Yeah, okay. All right, Bill, yeah, I'm running a Viking 2 here also at stock. And I'm just running an old crystal mic right into the Viking 2. No audio, no external audio chain. And the receiver is an HQ120X, and my antenna for 75 is a half-wave dipole center fed with coax. It's not very high. It hangs between two 30-foot poles. So I started a Class E transmitter, I think about 10 years ago. Maybe I'll get back to it this winter. I was working on the modulator power supply rack panel. I had a computer years ago that had two 8-inch two 8-inch floppies in it. It was a homebrew computer, and I ripped all that stuff out. It's a very deep cabinet. I think it's about 20-some inches deep. Maybe it's a 10-inch tall rack panel cabinet. So that's going to house the power supply. I'm going to have a pulse width modulator. Separate decks for every band. Probably eventually a DDS DFO. So, yeah, the last 10 years I was working in Farmington, and like you, 10-hour days. And I had over an hour drive each way. And so I was away from home 13 hours a day. So I pretty much had ham radio on hold for 10 years. So I'm getting the workbench cleaned off in the shack. There's a drilling and blasting bench in the basement. And I got a couple new pieces of cheap Chinese test equipment, a 4 7/8 digits multimeter, and I got one of those, I couldn't resist it for $84, the function generator, waveform, or arbitrary waveform generator. And so looking down the road, I'll probably get a digital scope. I've got a nice little Tektronix analog scope, and probably get one of those $100 nano NVAs. And I got a big old HP spectrum analyzer and tracking generator here, but the fans on it are absolutely horrendous. So I'm thinking eventually I'll get a Rigel spectrum analyzer and tracking generator. So I got a lot of home maintenance to do. So, back to you, Dave. W2VW in the group, WA3KLR.
Okay, Tom, okay. W3KLR in a group from W2VW. Gee, we're not doing break-in here. It's weird, but it's okay. There's only 3 of us. That seems to work out okay for Roundtable. I've given up on that, though, in any other format where people just, when you get 5 guys and 6 guys in a Roundtable, the art of it is lost. It really is. I haven't done that in a long time. But, yeah, okay, and okay on the old plants that you had there, shrubs and all from back when you moved in. And I was looking at my boxwoods here today. We were sitting out on the front deck and having coffee, and I realized that almost all of those things are 30, 31 years old, and they look great. I trim them usually every other year, and man, you can cut those things down, and they take it, and they just come back every year. They're in a little raised area in front of the house, but the pressure-treated lumber that's in front of that has rotted, and it's dead. So I replaced it last year. I never finished the job. I got to get out there, and it's about a half dozen pieces. But the lumber that I got, the pressure-treated lumber, was so twisted. We had it delivered, and if you don't pick it out, I don't know if you've been through that, but if you order stuff like that and you don't actually pick it out, they send you garbage. So I had like a half dozen pieces that were totally unusable, so I couldn't finish the job. I was out there in November trying to beat the weather, and I haven't touched it since. I'm doing more other stuff, though. But our place in the back, it's not that big, but we put in a ton of all kinds of plants, and all stuff looks great, but it's all overgrown. Everything is multiplied, and the flowers and stuff, they move. Like, you get the stuff that comes back every year. Well, it won't be in the same place. It's really bizarre. I had everything lined up. It looked like it was put in by a nerd, which is me. Everything was perfectly lined up. Well, and I have pictures of it to prove it. And now all the same plants are like, there's one that's moved over 2 feet from where it was. I don't get it. I think it's a conspiracy. Anyway, you hold up fine, Tom. Static crashes are not bad tonight. I'm almost drifted on to frequency, and I'm using the same modulator that Billy is using, the Antex that Stu came up with. That whole schmear. Only I'm doing it with Johnson 500, so it makes it way more interesting. Over to you, Billy. I'm going to turn it over to you. Imagine that. Is that a pizza? You can tell Tom where you're... Yep, I see a pizza. Billy eats a lot of pizza. He works hard, though, so he could probably get away with it. W2BTK in the group from W2 very weak here on Beechwood Mountain.
I saw him eating a couple slices of pizza hours ago.
It's the same pizza. It's from the other night. Lasts a little while. I get pizza on Thursdays. Thursday is my Friday, so I order a pizza and get some other stuff, and I munch on it for a couple days. So that's why you always see me eating pizza on the live stream. Because I live stream on the weekends, but the Viking 2 sounds good in stock formation with the microphone directly into it. It sounds really good. But, yep, the Antex kick butt. Dave knows that. He's the one who showed me that trick. And, yeah, I was ready to get off the air and go do something else, but Dave convinced me to get back on.
Well, a few hours ago when I was watching your live stream, and then the receiver audio I was hearing was coming from your receiver.
Yep, exactly. It's an SDR receiver, and it's just piped right into the live stream from that computer.
Okay, what did you say, Dave?
Were you looking on Twitch, Tom? I missed that.
I was watching that a few hours ago for the first time.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's Billy's station. So you're getting it direct. FEF works okay. This is a little bit different here, though.
KC2KDY in here again.
What was it, K2KDY?
Yeah, Kilo Charlie 2 Kilo Delta Yankee. I was in here a little earlier with Billy and came back in here and heard him back on. So I thought I'd say hey again and hello to you two guys too. Dave and I forget the other station.
I'm copying him light, just like the guy in Georgia.
Yeah, I hear you there, Jim, but it's kind of difficult. It's nighttime on this band. You really need something that'll hurt your back when you move it.
Okay, well, I won't bug you, but just want to say hey again. KC2KD.
All right, well, thanks for checking in, and don't get discouraged here. I mean, probably late afternoon. If you're running a 25-watt rice box is okay. I don't know if you're the guy that's running an inverted L, but anyway. Got multimedia going here at once. Look at your phone, Billy. This guy. Anyway, it's hard to, I mean, with static crashes in the summer and all that. I used to get on here every day with 25 watts, and I would get off promptly at 6:30 p.m. So it's all about what you have. Anyway, nice to hear you. And Tom and I are having trouble hearing you. I think Billy might have heard you better earlier, but that was earlier. I took a nap since then. I can't remember anything. Billy, can you fix this? You know, Tom, that's on the test equipment. I've got a couple really old tracking generators, and I've still got an HP 141 persistence, all those, and it works. It works okay. It's a little out of whack with certain plug-ins, but it does what I need it to do. Really, the only thing I do with it anymore is if I work on an HF anything that I built myself, the tank circuit, I'll take a look at it, and I'll look at the harmonics. That's about all I do with it anymore. It just sits there, and they're not worth anything, so it's probably not worth trying to sell it, especially with nano VNAs. I've got another one down in the basement too that the only thing I ever did with it, one SIG-Gen, it was an old, I can't even remember the number of it, but it was from the mid-80s. I just put it on 1620 for years and used it as a, whatever was on the board here at home. I put it up on 1620 AM, and I went on eBay and I bought all the little transistor radios, each one of them that I remember from when I was a kid, all the battery operated ones, and then I could, go out and work in the yard and listen to whatever's going on in the house. So that's how it goes. Anyway, I saw your picture there recently on AM Foe, and sounds like you're doing great, and you don't have to kill yourself commuting anymore. So good for you. Anyway, go ahead, Billy. W2 very weak.
So, something that just hurt my brain happened. I'm in the Discord chat here, and Nick said, I was strong and Clark was strong. I was like, wait a minute. Clark's not on. That's Dave. Somebody mistook you for Clark, man. I don't know how you feel about that.
Maybe the guy has a little speaker.
No, he hasn't slept in 26 hours.
Well, hey, Clark, I don't think Clark can do this, and I don't have a phase rotator.
Clark said the hell with ham radio tonight, and he's watching YouTube videos. He's trying to send me links to them. But I'm on the radio. Right, Tom?
Yep, you're really on the radio. Well, you mentioned Stu. I haven't heard Stu on the air in years. I have seen him signed in on AM phone now and then.
Yeah, well, there have been Stu sightings on 40 meters. Stu doesn't subscribe to the physics of using a short antenna. And so, if he can't get what he considers a half wavelength of antenna up, he's not getting on that band, because it violates the conservation of energy principles. That's what he told me anyway, when I put my 80 meter antenna on 160. So that's that. But he's a great guy. He developed a lot of stuff. Very, very smart guy. And as I told him, sometimes it's frustrating to watch while the process happens, but the end result is always great. And he's a real engineer. Takes things one step at a time, carefully documents, knows what to do, all that stuff. And that's a whole discipline that you don't see very much of on amateur radio. So I don't know. I could like reach out and argue with him that he could make his 40 meter length antenna work here and be heard, but somehow I have a feeling that I would lose the argument.
Well, he knows physics better than anybody we know. So he ought to know. Do you have a balanced antenna that's electrically short and the wires are big enough? You can get the losses down and put out just as big a signal. He would know that, but, I don't know if he's got to hide his antenna indoors. I remember when he first moved, I guess he got divorced, moved out of his house, he got this other place, and I was listening. This was years ago. The first time he transmitted on 40, I think it was his first transmission period from the newer QTH, and I heard him, but I wasn't in any position to answer him at the time. And I don't know how he was doing it, but I don't think I hardly heard him since.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that he was on not long ago. That's kind of a shame. He probably listens in here and just shakes his head.
I worked Stu on 40 meter FT8 a month or two ago.
FT8? That's not real radio.
Right?
Man, I had a guy on the hook on QRZ, but he took a day off. It's not often you get to talk to somebody that's like high on the honor roll. He's got like 334 countries, and he says that he's tried FT8, and it sucks. I like talking with qualified people, even if I don't agree with them.
Yeah, this is all making me feel old. Yeah. I don't work FT8, and I don't have an Icom 7300.
Well, FT8 is great. I mean, it's more of a toy as far as serious operating, but you can get so much information from FT8. Even if you don't view it as a serious way to make contacts. Although you can, it can decode stuff out of the noise well below which you can hear with your ear with, Morse code or whatever. It's cool for that. But the coolest thing about it, Tom, if you get on FT8 and you just call CQ maybe 5 or 10 times on any given band, there's a website you can go to called pskreporter.info, and you get a propagation map and all of your spots from all over the world with signal reports and this and that, so you can go fiddle around with your antenna, call CQ a couple more times, and just log the info. And it's, otherwise, what are you going to do? Go on and say, well, how do you hear me? Oh, you're 5 and 9. Oh, yeah, great, thanks, So it's real deal data that you can generate with doing FT8, and that is probably the coolest thing about it.
Yeah. Well, I've worked all over the world on QRP, not from here, from a friend's QTH one time. They were talking about just robotic reports back. Yeah. I guess if you're a new ham, especially today, that would be very appealing and interesting, but it doesn't faze me.
That's exactly it.
Well, yeah, it's a good way to get your foot in the door, get on HF and make contact, because you don't need much, a couple watts. You don't even need a very good antenna, because like I said, you can be 20 dB below the noise and still make a contact.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the modes developed by what is it, Joe Taylor?
Yep.
Yeah, Joe Taylor from Princeton. He might be tuned in to your Twitch server.
WA3KLR. I was looking at AM phone this afternoon. There hasn't been a post there in over 24 hours.
Yeah. It's summertime. People are probably doing the family thing and all that, especially after this COVID stuff. Everybody was cooped up. There's a lot of people that are antsy, like they say, the old people. Thing about FT8, I wouldn't be involved in it if I didn't have a young family member get me involved in it. I wouldn't have bothered, and I wouldn't be talking about it, saying it sucks all the time. I'd be sitting off just watching, but if it weren't for that, but I got into it, and tell you what, Tom, you know how heavily I was into 10 meters, and 2 years after I could not work VK on 10 meter AM, I worked them on Whisper, which I know you've used. I've heard you talk about it, and then I worked them a bunch of times on 10 meters on FT8. And a month ago, a little more than a month ago now, June 14th, Japan to East Coast here, and not Florida or way down there, which it's a lot easier for those guys to work. Japan, 2 landers and 1 landers are getting spotted in Japan. I worked 8 JAs on 10 meters all in a row and got spotted in some weird place. I don't even remember where it was. I forget the call, but it was further east. But it wasn't that one was not a two-way contact. It kind of went away, and it came back again a couple of days later. And I had that bizarre AM QSO in the JA back in 2014, I think it was. That was really bizarre. But I was in the right place at the right time, because I remembered Ashtabula said that 28305 was a JA AM hangout. I never heard anybody else mention that. That's where they were. Mountain climbing and backpacking AM guys, all from Japan, all on AM with little battery-operated rigs. It sounded like It sounded like a CB channel. It was all heterodynes and, all mixed together. And son of a gun, I got on there and that was really something. And that window, of course, only lasted like 20 minutes. So the point with the FT8 is that the bands don't work very well because there are no sunspots, kind of, almost, sort of. I mean, there was like a half a sunspot. It was faced the wrong way, and another one that maybe did something. And even with good E-skip, though, with the way things are, you get a little bit of ducting carrying it, and people say thunderstorms work for E-skip, too. I don't know. I'm not that smart. But I can tell you what happens, and I can get into Europe most days on 10 meter AM, on 10 meter FT8. I just get on there and call. My friends think I'm crazy. Okay, my friends know I'm crazy. I don't. Someday if they talk about me and they say I was crazy, I'll be just tickled pink about that. WA3KLR in the group, W2 very weak.
Hey, Dave, how does this thing sound?
It sounds just the way it should sound, Daryl.
Okay. I'm just, I tweaked it a little bit. And, just make sure everything's alright.
Yeah. No problem.
Did you let it warm up?
No, I don't want it to warm up, man, because these tubes will run me out of the room, Billy. But, I let it warm up too much, they're gonna run me out the room.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, getting run out of the room by tubes is better than getting run off of channel 6 by 2 6s and 2 9s, because he's just keying on everybody. Man, I kind of miss those days, Daryl.
You talk to Dave?
Dave?
Dave Made.
I haven't talked to Dave Made in a while. I sent him an email. He got back to me. He was going to call me about some questions I had, but, Dave Made is a little bit flaky. He's got a lot of stuff going on, so I'll just let him be, I'm hanging out down here on 75 meters anyway, but hey, I still got all my Dave Made stuff. Oh, don't you worry about that. I got a serious mobile over here.
Man, you talking about you got a serious mobile? I got a serious mobile Suburban in the backyard with 6 320 alternators. I think 3 of them is DC with rectifiers. No. 3 of them is all AC with external rectifiers. Those big old tractor trailer batteries, big ones. I call them coffins. That's how long they are. And, man, I used to run a CX3000 on that thing. Two CX3000s. Oh, man. Used to go over there in Jersey City by the water and put up those, big, tall antennas, rods of God, or what the hell they call them. Oh, man. Those was the days. All right, let me get out of here. I know you're talking to Dave, so I'm unkey this thing. Yeah, it's warmed up now. I am pinning my bird meter. Whew. Pinning a bird meter with this T368. So, all right, y'all have a good one, and I'll be listening in. This is KD2AFL on the old glass.
Why don't you pick it up, Tom?
Okay. KD2AFL in the group, WA3KLR. Good evening, Daryl. My name is Tom. I'm south of Allentown, PA. I've heard you on. I do a fair amount of listening. I'll be getting more active now that I'm retired. I'm running a stock Johnson Viking 2. And a Halo nice Q120X receiver. Let's see here. I just learned of the Dave made amps. I think I was looking at that on the web a couple weeks ago. So I guess he hasn't been shut down. I was looking at some videos on that solid state amp by the other guy in the Northwest, BBI. I guess he was shut down. BBI. Running, I used to do RF work, RF transmitter work. Dave, you mentioned the one HP141T. I used to use that in different plugins and had a tracking generator version that had a nice, I think it was a Nixie tube readout on it for the marker frequency. But yeah, it's interesting to me to see these guys doing these tests where they're running those transistors, I think to about 3 times their rated output. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I wrote down some calls here, Dave, other than Stu. Thinking of Dirk, the Dirkatron. I haven't heard him on in a long time. I can't even think of his call right now. There's a guy, Tom, M1HCI. And Bill, you probably didn't get your license till after, I think we mentioned Ashtabula Bill here tonight. Yeah, no, a swamp bucket in North America can touch me. He used to be a mainstay on 40. W8VYZ. You probably never heard of him, Bill. Did you hear him on the air?
No. I've had my license for a while, since about 2008, but I didn't, use it until about 2 years ago when I got on HF. I finally upgraded to the general class. So no, I'm a total newbie out here.
Yeah, he was quite a character. Dave, did you ever see that photo of that little brunette in the W8BYZ t-shirt?
Oh, yeah. There was a time, W2 very weak here on Beechwood Mountain, there was a time you could order a coffee cup that had a picture of Bill, what was his name, Bill Dalton or something like that? W8VYZ. And it said, ain't a slop bucket in North America can bother me. And he used to get on the top of 40 meters, 7290. He had a pair of 833s, Billy, for a modulator. And I don't remember which final he was using, but he had, Billy, 3-diode ultra modulator. And he used a vacuum rectifier for the negative one, and he used a couple of, I think he used a couple of mercury vapors for the other one, and it was because of the soft clipping that you get, the high vacuum rectifier. He had it figured out, and actually it worked very well as a guard band, if you will. You probably get my gist. And the Texas Traffic Net complained to the FCC about him. I think they had like a writing campaign, like all their members complained about him. Because he would get on 7290, and then these guys would start up their BS net that doesn't pass any traffic. And they're picking on an 80-something-year-old World War II decorated combat veteran, on the AM calling frequency with their stupid net. It never ends. And we're talking like 30, 25, 20 years ago here. It's it's the same. It's just the names change. The stupidity is always there on amateur radio. There's always, especially this band. When I was 40. He used to have, I think he had like an 80-meter doublet up, and he would use it on 40. Oh, you can't do that. It's not resonant. Well, anyway, he would do it. He would get on. He had a commanding signal. He had a big antenna. There were videos of him up on YouTube. He was a hell of a guy. His audio sucked. It was awful, but it was very effective. And he was well known. Everybody knew who WAVYZ was. Hell of a nice guy. I worked him on every band. 160, 80, 40, 20. Didn't work him on 15 and 10. So all the real ham bands. So there you go.
Yeah, that's cool. I kind of wondered what, using the actual tubes in that circuit would do. I guess that kind of answers my question, but man, that's cool, and that's really sad. That Texas traffic net is a nuisance.
They're a nuisance, but they don't bother me. Ain't a slump-bucket North American bother me. And Tom, you're thinking of the Durkatron, WA2 crappy, yellowy, and tinny. Hell of a nice guy.
WA2CYT, yeah.
First person?
It's actually WA3KLR. Yeah, Bill, WAVYZ, I think his brother was a hand.
What?
May not have been well known. And his receiver was a BC348Q. I think he had a signal slicer on there too. After he died, there were these pictures of his shack. I think it was in the basement or garage. And we saw his link tuners. I think he had a separate link tuner for each band. And his transmitter, I think I heard you guys on here last night. Bill, you were joking about wires and stuff running around in Dave's QTH. But W8VYZ, his transmitter, I think, was kind of open and running all over the place.
Yep. I've seen those pictures, but the ones I saw were when, who was that guy? I can't think of his call sign. There was one, that guy, Theo, who's still on the air, by the way. I can't think of his call. He used to be like the Collins nut. Him and another guy went over there and shot some video back in the, I think, early 80s. And it's got pretty good, and it comes and goes from YouTube. It was there last time I looked for it. Pretty good documentation of Bill's stuff. Yeah, my basement has got a lot more. There's, believe it or not, more density than Bill had, but nowhere near as much exposed, dangerous crap. It only looks like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of ham junk in the basement, and that's the drilling and blasting workbench down there. But I don't do any operating from there. I did have a tube receiver set up there one time. That was my RBG, the World War II evolution from this HQ120X. I sold that to Joe M3IBX. I didn't really want to get rid of it. It was working great, but the ham shack in the second floor here isn't real big. So I just felt at the time I had to move it on. What's replacing it is an HRO, which I haven't restored yet. So I guess Bill's off eating pizza and vaping and so forth.
Yeah, but I can multitask. Man, I got something that would make you guys laugh. Timmy sent me a sound recording of the UAN in space.
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know if hey Jamie, does that come from UAN?
No, you're thinking of Hey Bacon.
Yeah, hey Bacon. That would have been UAN.
I'll just play a little clip of this. It's an advert for the Timtron Institute. Oh, God, is this funny. Ready?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
We'll be back after this commercial message from the Timtron Institute.
The Timtron Institute is one of the highest learning centers in the United States. At the Timtron School, you will learn how to strap with fart gas technology, how to pisbeat your radio and de-yellowify your radio, Slimatron research and development, how to build the 811 radio, and 1001 ways to use a JS clip. Now we have a few words from some of our distinguished professors and students.
Joe, WAS. I love the school. It's really great. Taught me how to use a D104. It's the best crystal mic you can buy. First it was Marconi, then me, nobody else. Timtron School. The greatest.
Before I came to the Timtron School, I was a side banner, strictly violent at the 2KC spread. Now I'm a 20 to 20,000 major, straight A's all the way. Timtron School, the best.
Man, that was Mikey.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, since I haven't talked to you guys, I haven't talked to you in a long time. Yeah, I did visit Tim's HLR Mountain last, when was that? Just last fall.
It was on last night.
Vortex Joe.
Vortex Joe. Yeah, it's a shame he went so early.
Yeah, man. He lived in a place, he had all that stuff, and it used to get flooded. He had a collection of cars, too, old Chryslers. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was kind of a shame. I worked Joe. I had a couple of good QSOs with Joe from the Empire State Building on 2 meters. Now that was fun, Tom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was at Joe's QTH about 3-4 times, a little over an hour's drive from here.
Yeah, well, when you look at all the people that we know and used to know, there's more of them, way more of them that are gone now than we're ever going to meet in the future.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll have to send Stu a email or private message.
Yeah, tell him you talked to 2 guys using his toroidal thing that he pretty much popularized. Let's put it that way. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have thought to put 2 of these suckers in, CAS code, if you will, to get the ratio I needed. I thought, you put transformers together and they stink. But no, not these transformers. So that was quite the achievement.
Yeah, I remember just before Stu did that, I was talking to him one day, and he said, how do you think one of these toroidal power transformers will work for audio modulation? I said, well, since they're not iron and they're, what are they, not laminated iron, they're the toroids with water powered iron, they probably have a much better frequency response than the old power transformers, and it turned out they work great.
Yeah, I've substituted power transformers with the same ratio for one of these just to try it out. It was god awful. It was so bad, I didn't bother measuring it or sweeping it. It was really, I just listened to it for 2 seconds. That's all it took. I'm like, okay, experiment over. There's actually a book. I have a copy of it. It's, I think it's high-end valve amplifiers using toroidal transformers or something like that. I forget the title. It's a long one. And there's a whole book on using toroids, with a powdered iron core as output transformers, OPTs as they call them now. Why is everything abbreviated, Tom? I know that makes you crazy too. I'm sure it does. It really makes me crazy, and I can prove it.
Yeah, it does, and things improperly abbreviated, and people putting slashes in on abbreviations where they don't need to be and shouldn't be.
Yeah, but it's cool, It makes you like you're in with the in crowd, like Dobie Gray.
The Indians used to write output O/P. I hated that.
Abbreviations are cool. Think about it. AM.
Yeah, advanced modulation. W2 very weak.
WI.
WA3KLR. KLR.
W2BTK. And there's somebody IDing in there. Somebody else. Yeah, whoever it was down in the noise, and BCE was jumping in there also on top.
That guy's much lighter than the other two light guys.
Yeah, you need a little bit of something. It's pretty atrocious out here right now.
It's like if you want to pick up a boulder, you need a crane, and that's what 75 meters in the summertime is at night. It's like picking up a boulder, and if you've got a really good crane operator, you can get away with a smaller crane. That's having a good antenna. But if you want to be heard on here, unfortunately, it takes horsepower this time of the night, this time of the year. It's just the facts of the way things are. Listen to all those damn static crashes. Yuck.
WA3KLR at the top of the hour.
Ooh, hey, you're practicing your vomit voice.
What?
See, Billy, Tom knows about electronics. He keeps it low key, but he actually knows stuff.
Yeah, Tom seems like a smart guy. I heard Gary in there too, way out there in Nineland, W9WOO. You able to hear him, Tom or Dave?
Down here.
Oh, man. I heard WOO. It's like Channel 19 now.
And I did hear that other gentleman. I believe he was having a Yaesu. I think he had a Yaesu. I think he was trying to get on frequency too. If he's still there, I'll go on 3880 and help him out. The full W9 WOO here.
Yeah, Gary, you're not doing too bad here. I'm copying you pretty well. So, I don't know if the other guys are hearing you very well, but yeah, I decided to jump back on here. Dave kind of twisted my arm, and well, here I am.
Hey, yeah, something else to do. Just everybody understand that, but hey, you can always say the show must go on. You put yourself into this. W2BTJ, W9, WO, show must go on.
You guys hearing Gary at all?
Yeah, I heard him say he wanted to stop in and say hello. But here on Beechwood Mountain, the static crashes are about 30 over guest 9, and Gary is 20 over guest 9. So Gary's got a very good signal here, but the damn thunderstorm activity is within my skip zone, unfortunately, so it makes it very unpleasant. And I know Tom heard him too there for a bit because he keyed up and said that he was hearing him. But there's also a couple of other heterodynes underneath that are coming in here down almost below the Mason-Dixon line, Billy.
Yeah, I heard them. I could just read them. Yeah, there's multiple QSOs.
Yeah, that's a problem with this frequency anymore. You never had that. Back when you had cultured AMers on here, you know, you never had that problem, but you do now.
I had to hold the frequency down last night, man. Thursday night, me and Clark were talking. We got ran off. You know, somebody keyed up, somebody else keyed up, and then they just started talking to each other and left us in the dust. So last night, I had to reach over to the Variac and just insert myself, and it worked.
That's awful.
It is awful. I hate it. I hate having to do it, but don't forget that I can.
Well, anyway, it's all in good fun, and we're all a work in progress. Even those guys, whoever they were, I didn't hear them. I don't want to know who they were.
Dave, did you ever get on the Moose and Squirrel net, the upper sideband on the 57 meter channel?
No, can't say as I've been on upper sideband below, let's see, 10 megahertz, probably ever.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've checked into there a couple times. Alrighty, well, I'm thinking about clearing out.
Well, Tom, it's good to hear you, and stay out of the sun if it bugs you that much, man. But you sound very relaxed, and you know, maybe we'll do the What's for Dinner net sometime. I don't know. You know, Paul is around, and a couple of the other guys who never come up here. I don't blame them. They're good hearing you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I check into the What's for Dinner net now and then, and I listened there today. I didn't give a call. So maybe we all do that. We're all listening, waiting for somebody else. But we were going to do a Wednesday edition, and so far we haven't met. I think just about everybody on there now is retired. I think Carl KD3CN, now he's working as a contractor. I think everybody else is retired.
Yeah, well, if you set up a sked or something and you get some lead time, let me know. I'll tune up and turn on and drop out or whatever kind of thing Larry said.
All right, guys. Oh, here's the picture. Here's the guy I heard on the air the other night. He's in this Steve WA2DTW. I heard him on a couple days ago. I don't know which band. I haven't heard him in a long time. Alrighty, 7-3 guys, well, nice to meet you. W2BTW and Dave, W2 very weak from WA3 KLR, Clearville listening.
All right, Tom, nice to meet you. And hopefully we hear you out here again soon. W2BTK.
7-3.
Hey, good night, W2 very weak. Here on Beechwood Mountain, where every time we open the door, the bugs try to get in.
Those damn bugs. They're running rampant over here. I really have to cut my lawn. That's tomorrow. It doesn't help when the lawn gets, 6-7 inches high. Well, oops. But hey, very interesting things happened in the chat before. There were quite a few people, like more than one, saying the same thing over and over, which was AM Facebook sucks. So I believe it's catching on. Like, it's a movement at this point.
Is Facebook still silent? I mean, does it still exist? Because I heard, I read and I saw, I observed that ever since Facebook started, that Facebook's actual value, of course, it's a company that has no assets, but their stock value, CEO, everything, it's in a severe downward spiral because of AM Facebook.
Yeah, AM Facebook is killing Facebook. Also, young people don't want anything to do with Facebook anymore. It's, ew, Facebook. That's what my parents use. That's for old people. So there's that. And then that was already happening, before the AM Facebook thing started. And then I would go as far to say that AM Facebook was the nail in the coffin. So, it was already kind of like starting to slip away. And that whole AM Facebook crap started up, and that was it. Facebook is done. They killed it. It's generally accepted now, and you can ask, people. I would say 7 or 8 out of 10 people would say that AM Facebook sucks, and the other, 2 to 3 people that wouldn't say that, they just don't know what it is or use Facebook. But if they did, I'm sure that it would be 10 out of 10.
Well, I could tell you for sure that the last thing that sucked that was widely accepted as sucking was disco. Disco music, there are bumper stickers that says disco sucks. And Frank Zappa, who knew a few things, said that disco was a way for uninteresting people to get together and mate. And I think the very same thing about AM Facebook. It's like an uninteresting people that don't know anything about electronics to get together and bitch about people who actually do understand AM and how it works and can get on the air and sound great and make friends. Yeah, so disco and AM Facebook, perfect together. Yeah, I don't think there's as much heavy drug use in AM Facebook, but that's because everybody's already so screwed up. If they actually did that, then I don't think it would be possible. So, but no, you're right. Those who can't do AM Facebook, and I'm sure there's some type of AM Facebook mating call, or something like that they throw out there to just kind of, maybe a secret handshake to let each other know, hey, I don't know a damn thing about putting a good AM station together, brother, and then they'll know that they belong. Well, it helps if you have a broadcast rig that doesn't work out in your barn.
Well, right, but even better than that is if you had a broadcast transmitter that worked, but you blew it the hell up, and you're completely incapable of fixing it. That would be more along the lines. I feel like I'm somewhat correct.
The thing about broadcast rigs is they're way larger than they need to be, I'm drawing a parallel here. I'm not naming any names, but AM broadcast rigs are way larger than they need to be, and they make a lot of noise that they don't need to make, and they don't really do a lot, you know? I mean, you see a parallel there?
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's just kind of taking up a lot of space, not accomplishing, all that much for the amount of, I don't know, just like whatever, like it's just occupying, and not really doing anything. So you can, that's great. That it makes sense.
Have you got a picture of a guy? Hey, you got any pictures in your mind?
Yeah, like I'm picturing a fat, kind of, semi-disgusting looking man, sitting around at a keyboard and bloviating about, I dusted the knobs on my transmitter today, or, like I unhooked all my wires and then hooked them back together in a neater fashion, this and that, and like, honestly proud of it, because it views it as a major accomplishment, I guess, or maybe it's just like, look at me, but yeah, like kind of like a fat guy, maybe a little bit of a southern accent. Am I getting close?
Well, first of all, this is W2VW. There's really nothing wrong with being fat if you carry yourself well, Some people are just predisposed to being fat, but there's a whole thing beyond that where can you do stuff? I mean, I've known people that you could call them obese that they've done a lot of stuff. And they can make stuff happen, and they're a lot of fun to be around, and, we go to church on Sunday, and, their kids are all well taken care of, and they, all have advanced degrees and all that, and they're obese. But then, you got the flip side. Anyway, enough of that crap. I like to be positive when I get on the air, Billy. I'm looking at this amplifier here that I'm working on, and it's just not positive.
Yeah, no, that is effed, double effed. But I'm not knocking on fat people. I'm saying that this guy, he's the unhealthy kind of fat. There's plenty of people who are a little bit overweight, but they're doing just fine. I'm talking about, like, this guy's in trouble.
Yeah. That's enough of that, man. I got a time limit. I think what we should do, we should both get, like, those sands through the hourglass there, little timers, and when we get on that subject, it should go for 3 minutes. We should have a 3-minute limit. Because it's not productive. I mean, the guy's got to know that he's a putz.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've pointed it out, and I've been silenced. But, yeah, all right, so timer's up. Your amp is all effed up, and it's a shame.
Yeah, it's not my amp, but, yeah, man, I took it's a Tetrode, right? So, it's got advanced current monitoring in it with a microprocessor and a lot of little discrete components, and there's a lot going on there, and it's just, it's a pretty smart design. The RF doesn't screw up the microprocessor. It's laid out well. The thing is that it acted like it had no bias. It's a Tetrode, so it acted like it had no bias on the control grid. I'm like, what's going on here? So I decided to limit the current on the V Plus with a big 220 ohm power resistor, and then it tripped off the screen current, which is exactly what it should have done. Because if you have a tetrode and your plate supply disappears, the screen tries to assume the plates roll, and it'll pull tons of current. It'll destroy the tube in 2 seconds. So it tripped off, so that part was good. But eventually I found out that the tube was sinking the bias voltage. It was actually, when you first turned it on, the bias voltage was there, but after it warmed up a little bit, not the full 180 seconds, but after a while, so it was actually sinking that bias voltage and sucking a lot of current from the bias power supply. So the guy has 2 different tubes for this thing. And I tried the other tube and did the same damn thing. You can take the tube and you can measure it cold with an ohm meter, and there's no connection between the control grid and anything else. But you can take the same thing and stick it in the tube socket and turn the thing on. And the control grid leans over to chassis ground after like 125, 130 seconds on one tube. A little different on the other. And then you can tap on the tube gently, and you can see the bar graph on a fluke meter like microphonic. So the connection is there, but it's a weak connection, and you can make it go away if you want. It's bizarre. We were talking about like an unobtainium Russian tube. So it's kind of disturbing, I put the extra little time in there just to figure out what the hell was going on. Yeah, not cool. Anyway, guy's coming over here and going to demonstrate it. And that's that, man. That's how it goes out there in radio land. At least it's not a $58,000 tube like the ones at work. Yeah, maybe a tube very weak.
Oh, man. Yeah, that sucks. That's an expensive amount of suck. But, yeah, what are you going to do? That's the way the cookie crumbles, as they say, on the Super Bowl. Hey, you still got that tube hanging in your attic with the couple thousand volts on the getter?
Yeah, man, I do. I got the 4,000 volt power supply. It's very current limited, and it's playing. It's keeping the thing gettered because it's a very expensive tube. So we just let it run, man. Somebody breaks into my house and goes up there, that's their problem.
Yeah, see, I told you stuff is scary around there.
Well, you never saw that.
No, that's right. But I've seen up there. You wouldn't let me poke my head up there last time I was there.
Some of the best fun I ever had in my whole entire lifetime was Tommy going up there and tuning the antenna tuner to get on different bands while he was over here.
Man, yeah, what do you do? Just transmit with a couple of watts and go up there and really carefully do that? Don't you get a little bit of a tickle?
Well, W2VW. I got the reflectometer up there, and yeah, but you know what to do with that circuit, and he knows what to do. But just imagine me. I know what to do with it, but the real fun is turning somebody else loose on it and knowing that what they're trying to do, you want to get on 17 meters? I know what it takes to put that on 17 meters. I know what the circuit should look like. Don't forget, I have all those switches in mind, so you can change the whole entire circuit for whatever you want it to do. But the knife switches, I didn't tell him anything. I just said, okay, have at it. And he found it.
Oh, a real radio guy. You figure it out. You could probably have to poke your head around the back and look at how the knife switches are wired a little bit. But that doesn't surprise me that much. Tommy's really smart. He knows about stuff. Oh, here's Boo Boo. I don't think you could hear her on the mic, but she's talking. She says, jeez. God, Gosh, there's a good amount of activity in the chat here, bud. I don't know if you're following along.
I got the Discord server up and the chat, and I'm looking at the Discord server more. I don't know why. Ada's going bananas here with her old friend in the background, which you're hearing. You know, they could call them over. They could both say hello, because we didn't have ladies' night. They could get on here and make up for that in about probably 30 seconds.
Wow. Well, I mean, are they open to that? Because I would totally say hello to Ada and her friend. Ada rules.
I don't know. This is getting recorded. You hear this? Can you hear this? From the old neighborhood.
Yeah, I hear some chuckling and bantering and stuff in the background. It's low. It's probably 10-20% modulated, but it's there.
There's somebody trying to call in there, but I just can't make them out.
I got the suffix out of that, BCE.
That's me.
Yeah, you got a good signal, but the crashes and the noise level is really high tonight. It's kind of blanketing your modulation a little bit. WB2BCE. Okay, I got the call sign.
Yeah, I think we all 8 WBs here tonight.
Did I what tonight?
No, I was just saying, are we all from the number 2? No, W2 area.
Yeah, I'm having a pretty tough time pulling you out. Like I said, your signal is fine. It's just the noise level is just way up there, and it's competing with, you know, your modulation. I'm not really able to demodulate much intelligibility.
That's Billy Brame from the Bronx.
Yeah, you got that right. You guys were saying you were relatively new to it, so I just got
You were what, 2 months ago? Oh, general class. Congratulations. Yeah, good for you, man. That's great. Well, you're on AM. Although you probably picked the worst night of the year to get on here, but you're doing okay.
Yeah, and you guys are the first AM contact.
Hold on a sec. I gotta give treats to Boo Boo. Somebody redeemed the Boo Boo treats thing. Give me 1 second. W2BTK.
Oh man, you hear all these static crashes? You probably running like 25 watts. I'm running legal limit here, and I hear, as long as the static crash doesn't hit, I hear what you're saying, but it's very painful. But don't give up. You got to get on here when it's not July.
Yeah, okay. You are the first AM contact.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. It's just not happening. But congratulations on getting the general. That's great. That's great. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun with that. Ham radio is still alive and well. You just have to find little pockets of good activity.
Yeah, it's a fade in and out. We were much better earlier.
Did you say that's your first AM contact?
That is correct.
Oh, good stuff. Well, hey, like Dave said, this is the worst time of year, bad time of night, wrong band, you know. You gotta put a little something behind it right now. Me and Dave are both pretty much running Legal Limit, so it's about what it takes right now. So you're doing okay. Like I said, your signal's good. It's just the noise level is really hard to compete with. You know, you can't really have an okay signal. You have to have like a really good signal to get on it this time of night and just beat up those all that noise and the lightning crashes. But hey, man, glad to hear that you're on AM making contact. It's my favorite mode, and hopefully we hear you on again, maybe in the daytime or something like that when conditions are a little bit better, less noisy. W2BTK. Yeah, that's W2VW, Whiskey 2 Very Weak out there on Beechwood Mountain.
Okay, I'm over here in the Bronx with 100 watts.
How many watts?
100.
What transmitter are you using?
Right now, 736.
ICOM what? Let me have that again, please. ICOM what?
736, 736, 736.
He said he's on an ICOM 736, so it's probably 100 watts PEP from a 25 or 30 watt carrier or so.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of guys in AM go by carrier power, which is probably a quarter of that. But you know what? The audio on that's very effective, and you're getting through here, this is like really next to impossible to be heard with 25 watts, the way the band is right now. So you're doing right. And if you get on here like late morning or this time of the year, just before dinner time, it'd be a whole lot easier to run into people that can hear you well and all that. Anyway, thanks for stopping in here. It's always great to hear new people getting their general license and then checking out AM, Billy. This is because of you and your stupid Twitch stream. What are you doing?
I'm promoting the hobby, buddy.
Glad to hear from you, and I'll try it again some night or daytime.
Yeah, you just built up there, 25 over. You're on a crescendo. So great, and you'll try it again. All right. Thanks again. W2 Very Weak.
Whiskey 2, Charlie Alpha.
November 3, Radio India Kilo.
Yeah, 3 CA, go ahead, and there's Radio India Kilo after that.
Yeah, Whiskey 2, Charlie Alpha, W2CA.
Name here is Bill, Bravo India Lima Lima. I'm in North Brunswick, New Jersey. Can you guys hear me?
Hey up.
Yeah, okay, great. I've got my old Johnson Viking Valiant and my SX101A running tonight.
Well, that's great. I'm running a Johnson 500, and the other guy on here is running another Johnson that he'll tell you about. And it sounds great down here in Beechwood near Tom's River.
Okay, we're not all that far apart. I was listening to you guys last night. You got fantastic signals over here, so I got up enough courage to turn this thing on and say hello.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I saw your town was in the news. It's kind of sad, but anyway.
Yeah, it's about a mile from my house.
Yeah, I remember I had a relative that lived there years ago. A very, very nice area. In the middle of a very, very busy area, but still nice. So, anyway, I hope that gets sorted out as best as it can.
Yeah, I mean, they got the guy, or, he killed himself and what have you, okay, and it's a, strange situation. It is what it is, but it's just, too bad. 20-year-old kid goes to the door and they shoot him.
Yeah, I know, that's awful. And by Weirdo. Yep. All right, Bill. Well, you're doing well down here. Name is Dave Delta Alpha Victor Echo. Let me get the other guy also. And we'll get it. We're kind of running break-in here. Who was the other guy breaking in?
I got N3RIK here up in Percy, Pennsylvania.
Is that Rick? No, you're N3RIK and your name is Bruno, right?
Close. I wish it was. Bruno would be pretty cool. No, I'm a Bruce. A Rick that's a Bruce.
Bruce. Okay, I know it was something with a B. Because I heard you give Clark the business.
Yeah, I do every now and then. I like to bug him.
Alrighty. Well, let's see how we can do here and keep everybody interested. Billy.
What?
Say hello to Bill and Bruce. And I'll be back in a second. I gotta go check the atmospheric pressure here. I got my barometer and I gotta tap it. It's got bubbles in the mercury. W2 very weak.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Bruce, we talk all the time. What's going on, Bruce? The Rick that's a Bruce. I love that. And it's fun to rag on Clark, too. I mean, that's cool, because he's not even out here. You know what he said tonight? He said, the hell with ham radio. I'm not doing it. I'm going to go watch YouTube videos. So, that's kind of lame in my book. But, you know, to each his own. He didn't want anything to do with amateur radio. But that's fine. Guys like me and you, Bruce, and Dave and Bill, we're all holding it down. So, yeah, Bill, I'm running a Johnson as well. This is a Viking 2, and it's being externally modulated with a solid-state audio amplifier made by Crown. It's about an 800-watt, like a PA amp, you know. You'd plug a pair of subwoofers or speakers or whatever into this thing, and I'm using that with some Toroidal power transformers, like kind of a fancy setup to bring it up to 3,000 ohms to feed the 6146s. So the 807 modulator is, well, I pulled the 807 tubes out and I gave them to Dave. Sent them to a good home because I'm not using them. But yeah, anyway, that's what's going on here as far as an exciter. So, back over to you there, Bill. And you know, we are running break-in, but I guess some semblance of order here.
Yeah, okay, very good. W2CA with W2BTK. Bill, you sound fantastic. I went on your webpage last night, and then I also went over to your streaming video for a while, and very, very interesting. Yeah, I was listening to you guys last night, so I thought I would just jump in here tonight and say hello.
Yeah, real cool. I'm running the live feed right now. I had it going before and I shut it down, and Dave convinced me to get back on the air, so I fired it back up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've had this radio here since 1965, and with the lockdown and everything, I basically just rehabilitated it, you know, put all new taps in both the receiver and the transmitter, and so you guys are my first AM contact in like 20 years.
Oh my God. Well, that's awesome, man. Jeez, I'm glad you knocked the dust off that thing and got on the air. Gotta be having fun. AM is the best. So, wow, that's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, and thanks for stopping by the live stream there. I've been trying to do that every weekend. Anytime I'm on the air, I throw that thing up just to catch, you know, whatever traffic I can, young people on this video gaming website, maybe to see it, get interested in the hobby, you know?
Yeah, I think you're doing some good advertisement. I mean, you know, you got a nice setup, you know, the whole thing with the streaming video, you know, should bring in some new people.
I hope so.
That's a really cool call sign, 2CA. Where'd you get that?
No, I got it, it's probably close to 20 years now. When they first opened up, you could pick your own call. I decided, let me try this, because I had some weird call signs over the years. I was first licensed in, 1965. I was WA2ZBO, Zulu Bravo Oscar. I couldn't stand that call. Then I wound up getting a KB2 call. I didn't like that. So, when I looked at the ticket, I gave it 5 choices. I guess it was back in, 1990 something, and I got it.
Well, that's great. That's a great call. You did very well. My first call was WB2 Zulu Juliet India. This is my 5th call sign now. Keep wearing them out. I'm done with this. I'm thinking that we should get together and petition the FCC. You'll remember this. You've been around. You know how the old-timers would get on, and if they were talking to somebody, like on this band regionally, they would just say, 2CA, this is 2VW, because they were all pre-World War I guys. They were that old. I think we should be able to do that,
Yeah, well, a lot of those guys had calls like that didn't have any letters in the front of them. So, what you guys were saying before about a lot of guys that have passed on, I mean, this is scary. I mean, I'm retired now too, but I started looking up guys, that I used to talk to, 10 or 15 years ago, and nobody's around.
What's worse than that is having a shack filled with stuff from people that I used to talk to that are off silent keys, including the transmitter and receiver I'm using now.
Oh, man. Well, I knew a guy, that had a Johnson 500. I don't know what happened to it. It was WA2PZI, Larry from over in Colonia. And he's gone too. I don't know what happened with his equipment.
Yeah, Larry, I used to talk to Larry quite a bit back in the late 80s, and then he got on, he used to hang out on 3814 on Slop Bucket. I frequented that for a while and talked to Larry, and I saw him at the Sussex Hamfest. I guess, what is that? Is it 2 years ago now? And, I'm sure he knew something was up at that time, and he was kind of like sitting in a chair taking it easy. I guess it was 2 years ago now. Yep. I remember Larry talking about the flying stories and, airplane stuff, and he always had the same sound when he was on the air. Hell of a nice guy. Never said a bad, rotten thing about anybody. Unlike me, where I do that occasionally.
Yeah, when I started looking for Larry, I started looking things up, so I went on the FAA website, and I wanted to see what the status of his pilot's license was, and it came up as expired, and, I know he would have never done that, even if he would have retired from, he was a commercial pilot, but he flew, Lears and what have you, privately for companies and stuff. But he would have never gave up his license. And then, lo and behold, after a while I looked again and his ham radio license expired, and I figured, that's it, baby, he's gone.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to find out like that, man. And I've been down that road also. I know what it's like. Yeah, gone too soon. He wasn't all that old. Because he was still living in Edison. I think he lived in the same place forever.
Yeah, it's the Colonia section, I guess, of Woodbridge, but it's, right on the Edison border there.
Yep, Colonia. They used to have a Radio Shack. Man, that was a long time ago.
But, hey, look at, I guess radios last forever, operators don't, so you gotta, run them as long as you can.
Yeah, so true, Bill. So, Bruce. What? I don't want to leave you out here. We don't know what we're doing by turning it over to people and all that stuff, so it's kind of a break-in QSO, but there's so much static and all that, it's hard to do that. I don't want to leave you out, though. 'Cause I don't want to be a jerk. I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, I think we all are. Well, just listening to Bill there, he sounds good down here at W2CA. And, I think it sounds good. There is some fading on the band and whatnot. So I don't know if I'm making it so well. I'm just running 100 watts from a rice box running into an amp.
It's not the greatest SNR, but the band is so noisy. But I think your stuff is adjusted fairly well. So rice box and afterburners, that's playing for you, Bruce.
Yeah, okay, I think it's the loop antenna that makes the difference. So we'll take it. And it's just good to click the relays and make sure everything still works.
Yeah, well, you got to have antenna grease. That's important. That stuff really works. Hey, Billy.
Yeah?
I feel like I'm filling in for Clark.
Somebody called you Clark before.
I know. Well, anyway, you know, Bill hasn't talked to anybody at AM in 20 years, and he gets on here and he calls you. See that?
That's pretty cool, man. And he saw me on Twitch. So, I don't know. There's got to be something to this. Tell the ARRL, you know, because they don't know how to do it.
How you doing there, WV2 BBK N3JUH radio here? You have a copy of me over?
Yeah, N3JUH radio, I got a copy there, Kim out.
Well, there you go. You're at 30 over here, no problem. Still a little noise in here, but no problem there. So how you copy the old N3JUH radio? I'm not that sound. I don't sound as good as you, but kind of like sounds like communications quality audio for this rig here, over.
Yeah, it sounds good. Dude, like, I hear every damn thing you're saying, and you got a good signal. So, you know, there's a lot of people who can't even do that. They just type on, you know, Facebook and stuff. So I give you a lot of credit.
Yeah, you're always banging in here in the Bethlehem, Pennsylvania here. You have Jim here, N3JUH, and yeah, you're sounding really good. What are you running there, over?
Well, we got a bunch of people on frequency here, Jim, Dave, Bill, Bruce, myself, and now you. So, you know, why don't you say hi to them too? But I'm running a Johnson Viking 2. It's externally modulated into a amplifier with a YC156 tube.
Yeah, well, it sounded good, Don. I don't know how everybody else hear me on the band, but I'll spin this number around. Someone pick it up. You have the N3JUH radio here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Okay, man.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir?
Are you hearing Jim?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me, Jim? This is W2CA, Charlie Alpha. Jim must be DX, he can't hear me.
Hey, you're like 45 over here. Must be just the way the band's working. Well, Valiant's doing its thing. I've got one here, you said 1966, I think you said, or 65. You've had that since? There used to be a guy that lived by me that bought an original DX100 and built it, and he had it all those years. And I used to talk to him once in a while. He was like 2 towns over. He passed away suddenly, and the thing disappeared. That would have been nice to give to somebody just starting out. You know, a second owner DX100. I've got like one of the original Valiants that has been totally modified. It's a Valiant 2, and everything in it has been changed from a Valiant 2. Like every nut, bolt, screw, wire, you name it, has been beefed up. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's got like hockey puck, plate loading caps in it, and the band switch has been changed. It's beefed up. It's in parallel. It's better than it used to be. The whole thing is really stupid. It's been repainted in different colors, and there are no markings on the front panel except for the VFO. All the knobs have no markings. So if you want to use this thing, you have to actually look at a picture of one so you know what you're doing.
Yeah, this one that I have, it was 1965, and a friend of mine that lived up the street who had his driver's license took me into New York City, and we went to Harrison Radio. Down on, off of Canal Street there in the old Radio Row area. And I wanted one of these things for Citizens Band, right? So I got one, and he won $50 for it. It was a total basket case. The guy who ever owned this thing totally ruined it and everything else. So I bought it, I got this thing working, just basically just followed the schematic, replaced everything that I needed to, and got it going. I had painted the front panel crinkled gray, and I wound up using these things they call Daytac dry letter transfers, and I relabeled everything, and I mean it was presentable, but it looked, it wasn't stock by any means whatsoever. And over the years, in fact, I just, I started working on this thing, I realized it was 20 years ago. A friend of mine, I don't know where the hell he got it from, but he got a Valiant that had a very nice front panel, but the whole radio was totally stripped out. Everybody, the magnetics were taken out of it. Any component that was worth anything was taken out of it. But the front panel on it was beautiful. So basically, I took the front panel off, I put it on this, touched it up a little bit, and now I have it one that's truly presentable. It looks very nice. The cabinet is painted, like a satin black. It isn't the maroon color that the standard factory colors were. But, it's very presentable, and it looks good here in the shack, so I'm happy with it.
That's great. That's great. It's an old friend, and it still works. What'd you do to the audio? Did you take out the clipper and that stuff, or just bypass it?
The clipper is still in there. I got it turned to minimum right now. Everything in the audio section, all the capacitors are, much larger values than the standards are. But essentially, it's still a very stock radio.
Man, you don't hear anybody doing that. That's great. And what you using for a mic? A D104?
Yeah, I got two D104s here. I got one on the Valiant, and I got one on my Collins KWN2A.
Great stuff. That's great. Well, I hope you get a lot of use out of that. You put a lot of care into it. And again, it's an old friend, so I hope it lasts you for another 30 years. No. How long ago? 1965? Wow, that's 55 years.
Okay. That's the other sad thing. I don't know how much time I got left, but I'm definitely not going to see 30 more years with this thing.
Well, I'm trying to downplay that there. Yes, somebody called my name.
Daryl. Getting out of here and shutting it down. Just came back downstairs and going to get out of here. So y'all have a good weekend. Dave, Bill, the other station, Jim, you're still out there. All right, I'm shutting it down now. I gotta get to Brooklyn tomorrow, so I'm gonna say I'm out of here and shut this old boat anchor down. The old military transmitter. Gonna shut it down, Dave. So y'all have a good weekend, what's left of it, and I'm gonna get out of here. This is KD2AFL, the glass from the past.
Okay, Daryl. Always nice. American Football League. Yeah. The old T368. Take care. Get your shut-eye there, and we'll talk to you next time. W2 very weak.
Okay, good night there. Take care.
See you later, Daryl.
Okie dokie, Bill.
Hey, the people giving you better signal reports than I get. I got to do something over here, man.
Hold on. Hey, Daryl, you still got that thing in the corner? What's your bird meter saying? Oh, he's gone. Back in the bushes.
Yeah, he's back out. Man, when he's gone, he's gone. He probably turned off like one of those giant levers there. It takes two hands to pull down.
That is such a cool transmitter, though, man. I call it the dress, like it looks like a dresser, like it's got drawers, like you pull out, like you keep your socks in it. They stay nice and toasty.
You know, back when we were trying to get Saddam, all this advanced stuff and weaponry, all we needed to do was fly a T-368 over Saddam's bunker and drop it. And that would be the end of it. Could have saved millions.
Oh, there you go, radio, N3JUH radio, here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I didn't fall off my chair yet, but a lot of radio service, so I might just disappear.
Well, we're just running break-in, so, you know.
Yeah, BGK 830 over here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's not great.
Oh, why, thank you.
Yeah, you're around here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, no problem.
Yeah, but Billy sounds better than I do. I can't take that.
I don't think I sound better. I mean, and you know, I don't even have that much more signal, which is like stupid because you know what I'm doing. I know what you're doing, and yeah, I think you're actually doing better than I am, Dave.
No, you don't know what you're talking about. See, because when you transmit, you can't hear me.
Well, yeah, that's because my, the bunch of relays click over and I can't hear anybody when I transmit.
You can hear yourself. What do you think about Bill saying that he got to Valiant to get on CB with in 1965? Imagine that. You can't talk about that in certain places.
Oh, yeah, you'll get banned from AM Facebook if you mention stuff like that. But, Bill, I did the same thing. Dave actually gave me this Viking 2 before I was even a general class, and I was, like, basically using it on CB and stuff. You know, so the same boat.
Well, it's just like, here, you need to have good equipment, to have a good signal and what have you. And, going back to 1965, you just couldn't cut it with a Lafayette, HB 111. You needed something bigger and better.
Well, that was 20 years before I even existed.
Yeah.
We don't want to make you feel old. That's not what we're trying to do here.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look, it is what it is. He who is young today will be old tomorrow if he's lucky.
Yeah, 2CA. Have you researched that? Like, that call has to go back to what, 1913?
Yeah, in fact, I have a real old call book that has the original holder in it, from upstate New York.
Yeah, if the guy was in upstate New York, here's a question for you. Now that for a while that was the 8th district, wasn't it?
I don't go back that far.
Yeah, the reason I ask is I've researched my call, and one guy had it for 73 years. He got a lot of use out of it. If I can get half of that, I'm doing great. But he was 8 kW. before he was 2 VW, because they redistrict everything, you know. So that's what I'm thinking. Your call might have been something else before it was that.
Yeah, it could have been. You know, someplace I've got the records of that whole redistricting process of what was what. Well, off the top of my head, I just don't recall it.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, the guy was from Elmira, which is, of course, upstate. You know, I guess that's, not far from Buffalo. So you're probably in the same ballpark as I am. That's a really good call. But don't move to California, because California is bad.
Yeah, I'm looking the call right now. I have a 1949 call book, and we'll see who this guy, was. And I don't know. I think I might be the third person that held this. So we'll find that too. But let's see here. W2. There we go. W2CA. Robert P. Mallory from Westwood. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The original holder was from Westwood, New Jersey. For some dopey reason, I thought it was upstate New York, but no, Westwood, New Jersey.
Yeah, check that out. See that? Westwood. My wife's in the background because she lived in Westwood for a while. She's like, Westwood? Her ears perked up.
You look at these call book magazines, this, like I said, this is 1949, boy. It's nothing but ghosts in here.
Yeah, this whole hobby is filled with ghosts. And, sometimes I turn out all the lights and go in the basement and just hang out.
So, I've got this old QSL card from, I guess, the guy who had this call before me, and that was a long time ago. So this thing is dated 11/15/31 QSL card from W2BTK, 1931, and I thought it was so funny, the remarks on the card. He says he likes to get down. Oh, we sure try to get down. Something, old man. Very glad for fine business, QSO, old man. We'll be looking for you from now on. Something, those beans. Hi. I don't know. And he was running, what is this? TNT, two 210s at 500 volts. It's just a very interesting QSL card from 1931, man. And I guess nobody wanted this call since then. But I did, because it was my CB handle, Billy the Kid.
Okay, there's got some significance to it there.
It's like COVID-19. Everything's depressed, The world's spinning in the wrong direction, and people are losing jobs, and the stock market's going up. It's going down. It's going down further. People are politicizing hygiene, 1931, think about that, Billy. The Depression. People are jumping out of windows, and farmers can't afford to buy seeds, and you can't get parts for your Model T. I mean, it's the same thing as now. Nothing has changed. There's probably some guy back then, he wanted to get down. He was going to get down. That's why he said that on the card. He's going to get down. But he didn't have a ceramic tetrode.
No, he had 2-210s. That's what he wrote. I don't even know what the hell that is.
I think that's like an 810, but it's a 210.
Yeah, it's only 1/4 of the size.
Well, he was trying to get down. That's for sure.
As long as he didn't get back in the bushes.
So, Billy, how's your cat doing tonight?
She's good. 2 different people redeemed the give treats to my cat reward. You can earn cool points from, I think you get like X number of cool points every 10 minutes that you're in my live feed. So once you accumulate some of those, you can cash them in for like different rewards. And one of them is give treats to my cat. So she got 2 of those tonight, although she didn't really want the treats either time. But she's doing good. She's like prowling around right now. It's like kind of that time of night where she gets a little feisty.
How old is she?
She's about 6 years old.
Yeah, you know, I had a black male cat live 22 years. That was my record. The little guy I got now, he's just 2 years old now. He's not a black cat, but he just turned 2 on July the 8th.
Aw. Yeah, black cats are cool, man. Like, I love them. I mean, Boo Boo, see, she was 5 when I got her, and she was living with 2 other cats with my friend who had her since she was a kitten. And there was another female, she's a female, and there was another female and a male cat, and she raised hell with that other female cat, and she was just, oh man, it was like bad news. She was marking everything and fighting and this and that, and she just was not having it in that situation. So as soon as I got this place and got settled in and everything, my buddy was like, hey, why don't you take Boo Boo? You know, I think she'd be a lot happier there. She's not getting along with the other cats. And, you know, I took her, and she has just been great. You know, she doesn't scratch any of my stuff. She doesn't mark the stuff. She's just a wonderful cat once she was on her own, you know, with no other cats around. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, I've always liked cats. I mean, I am an animal person. I've had dogs and stuff, but you know, over the years, you know, as the dogs passed on, you know, I got hold of a cat or 2, and you know, they're much easier to handle than a dog. You don't have to take them out or anything like that. So they're a much more casual pet.
W2 very weak, just because.
Yeah, W2CA.
There, I got the kitty cam going.
Bill, would you happen to be Hungarian?
Yeah, I just happen to be.
Yeah. I just looked you up on QRZ. I'm half Hungarian. Yeah. We'll have to talk about that sometime.
Yeah, I probably could tell you a whole bunch of interesting stories. Yeah, I'm a full-blooded Hungarian, both my mother and my father. I'm married to a Hungarian girl.
Oh, wow. Check that out. Man, you and I have to talk, believe me.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you an interesting story. You know, my sister is married to an Italian guy, and I mean, you know, when my father met my brother-in-law, that was like, you know, like an interracial marriage back in the days. It was horrible.
Understood. My grandfather had a travel agency business in Perth Amboy, New Jersey, going back to 1907. You know, helping people come over here. And my sister is into genealogy, and she's got the whole entire everybody, whole thing documented, who's who, and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, an interesting story. So, my father was born in 1892 in New York City. In 1900, his parents take him and his brother back to Hungary. He winds up getting conscripted into the First World War. He survives. His brother gets killed. But nobody knows that he's an American citizen. He comes back to the U.S. in 1920. And after 4 years, he decides he's going to get naturalized, and then they find out he's born here. He's a U.S. citizen.
That does not surprise me, especially when you hear about the Hungarians coming over the crest of the hill in World War I with their swords, and the guys on the other side are coming with tanks and guns.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with my father. He was a horse soldier, so-called hussar they were called. And, they're going up against mechanized infantry with horses.
Yeah, that wasn't going to stop them, though, because they were stubborn. See, here's the difference between a Polish person and a Hungarian is a Hungarian is right.
Yes, all the time.
Including right now.
Yeah, so what's interesting, too, is, during this whole lockdown thing, my daughter calls me up one day and she says, hey, Dad, there's a Hungarian restaurant down in Ewing, that's just outside of Trenton. So, we've been buying Hungarian food on takeout from this Hungarian restaurant, and it's almost like my mother's come back to life.
Let me tell you something. We got to meet there because I've been there 3 times, and my uncle's still around. He's looking at 90. And he speaks Hungarian fluently. So, yeah, we got to get together when this COVID crap is over, if it ever is over. Or we'll just go out in the parking lot, and they can bring the food out.
Well, so you have been to Barber's?
Say again?
You have been to Barber's restaurant in Ewing?
Yes, 3 times. Going back a few years, they changed hands. I don't know if you know that, but we were there one time with the old owners and now with the current owners.
Yeah, I know that they changed hands. I did not do any business with them under the original ownership, but the woman who owns it now, her name is Timea Farkas, and I've been around talking with her, so it's interesting. She came to the U.S. in 1994, and she lived at 58 Plum Street in New Brunswick. I was born and raised on 62 Plum Street in New Brunswick, so she came here and lived 2 houses up from where I grew up.
That's amazing. The things that happen on planet Earth, the things that coincide and all that. I could tell you some stories about stuff like that. Yep, that's great. Same neighborhood and all. Yep, know all about it. I love that place, but you can't go in there right now. Damn it.
Yeah, she's doing takeout, but she's kind of sporadic. So, I called her up last week on Sunday, and then she was closed. But I'm sure she's going to be open tomorrow, so I'll probably wind up going down there tomorrow, getting something, and run over my kid's house.
Oh, man, we got to get together. Like I said, we're going to camp out someplace and take in some Hungarian cuisine. Yeah. Wow. Small world.
Yes, you talk about your uncle, 90 years old. My brother, he turned 88 on July the 16th. So I'm 20 years younger than him, but I was the baby of the family.
Oh, wow, you got a lot of years left.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
Oh, you do, because you're stubborn.
Yeah, I won't go without a fight.
No, I know all about it.
What?
Too very weak. Small world. Great running into you here. I'm glad you fired up that Valiant that you rescued from having crinkle finish on the front. That's great.
Yeah, so what I've been doing already is during this lockdown, you can't run around anywhere. I feel okay. I'm in that vulnerable age category. I don't mind getting sick. I just don't want to die. So I started fixing everything that I had, right? So, all the old tube radios and stuff, they all need tender love and care. So I fixed up the Valiant. I fixed up the SX101A. I fixed up 2 KWM2As. I fixed my 30L1 up. I fixed my Heathkit. I recapped the Heathkit SB220. And so the other thing, I'm watching YouTube on television one night, and there was a video on about the receiver wars of the 1970s. And, up in the attic, I happen to have a Marantz 2285B receiver. So I bought all the caps. I rebuilt that one too. So now I've got my 1970 stereo in full operation again.
What exactly do you listen to when you fire that up?
I've just been playing records on it. There's obviously AM and FM and everything on it, but what I've been doing is listening to old vinyl.
W2BTK.
W2 very weak. What vinyl? Specifically titles.
Oh, okay. Talk about the Shirelles, the Marvelettes, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
All right, so we're talking late 50s stuff and some 60s stuff. Yeah, I'm fascinated by what people are interested in when they fire up their old stereo stuff. My dad had gone to Montgomery Ward and bought himself a Fisher 400 and EV4 speakers and a Sony 350 reel-to-reel and a dual or however the hell you say it, turntable. Same year he got himself a Contheer organ with a Leslie speaker. Yep. And I wanted to recreate all that crap. So I have most of it here, but it all needs to be repaired. Well, that's the stuff I listen to, all the weird things that I like to listen to back in the day when nobody was home.
Yeah, it's, the kids are out of the house and stuff like that now, and I drive the old lady crazy, but, I crank up the volume, and I got these Yamaha speakers I actually got in 1995, N1500s, and they got 12-inch woofers in them and stuff like that, and, you can really beat the hell out of them, and that sounds good.
Well, listen to you on some JBLs here. Chunky but loud with a PVCS 800. That's my receiver. I got a precision detector, and I can turn it up as loud as I want, man. I can hear that clipper. I can tell that the one screw on the inductor following the clipper is not as tight as the one on the other side.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, so this the whole lockdown period here, it's been pretty good. I got stuff running that I haven't had running in years.
Yeah, good for you. That's great. Hope you enjoy it. Get on here. You might run into some weirdos, but, you've been around. A lot of fun on here. Right, Billy? Somebody else?
Oh, sorry, I was playing with the cat. Well, the only thing I have to comment about all that is, yes, JBL, junky but loud. And then there's always Bose. No highs, no lows. Gotta be Bose.
Well, I remember back in the day when I got this stuff, the Bose 901s, they were the cat's meow.
Oh, that Bose stuff sucks.
I don't know, I never even heard them, but I know everybody was talking how good it was.
That's Dr. Bose.
Armand Bose, I think, is something like that.
You want
Hammer?
You want to know about some good speakers? I could tell you about some good speakers. You want to know what I think are good speakers?
Tell me.
Professional Audio Systems, PAS, right? This is a company who came out when DSP correction of crappy box designs was very prominent, right? Bose, these guys were like, no, screw all of that. We are going to design speakers that have great sounding enclosures with acoustics, we will design enclosures that sound good. You populate them with drivers and they kick ass. Anything Bose, time offset correction, TOC, whatever, did I just say Bose? Anything PAS, time offset correction, TOC stuff kicks ass. Some of the best sounding PAS PA speakers I've ever heard in my life, and they're not like super mainstream, but look them up. PAS, Professional Audio Systems. That's what I think are good speakers.
And they're still in business today?
I believe so. You can at least still get their stuff.
Am I recalling right when I looked on your website the other day that, you are in the audio business?
Not anymore. I mean, I have a degree from Berklee College of Music. I did live sound for quite a number of years, but I'm an electrician now.
Yeah, I don't claim to be any kind of an expert, anything with audio. I've got literally truly 10 years, but they aren't that good anymore.
Well, here's the trick. You can basically take anything. We used to buy these low-end SoundBridge speakers, and, they have passive crossovers in them or whatever. You can basically take anything with a passive crossover between the woofers and the horn, rip that stupid crap out, get yourself, an outboard crossover, and bi-amp them. That's the ticket. Bi-amp your speakers. Use a separate amp for lows and highs, and set the crossover points by ear, by yourself, in an environment where you're going to be using them, and anything will sound really good if you do that. And I've proven that over and over and over again. I've seen it, done it, been there, got the t-shirt. Bi-amp your stuff. If you can, tri-amp your stuff.
Wow, that's heavy-duty audiophile to do something like that.
We used to do that with all our PA systems. It would be a four-way system. You'd have separate amps for the sub-frequencies, the low frequencies, the mid-frequencies, and the high frequencies.
Wow, okay. It's just a little bit more than I want to do, I think.
Well, that's how you get low-end speakers to sound really good. Rip out all the crappy passive crossovers and electronics. Just run a straight shot from the amplifier to the drivers and use separate amplifiers and an external crossover. That's it. Most speakers can be bi-amped, with like a compression driver horn and 12-inch woofers or whatever the hell they have. Just use a separate amp for the woofers and the compression driver, and get some type of outboard crossover. You'll be fine. You can turn crap into like amazing just by doing that. Set it by ear. Every box has a different sound. You'll find it.
Yeah, I guess it offers the most flexibility.
Absolutely. You just need a set of ears. That's the key.
That's harder as you get older.
What?
They start making sounds on their own, your ears, especially if you take too much aspirin.
Aspirin do.
If you chronically take aspirin for years and years and years, it will make your ears ring.
Oh, you mean like tinnitus?
Exactly, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm glad I haven't taken aspirin, because I'm one of the very few guys with a group of people that I associate with that doesn't have ringing in his ears.
Yeah, and there's quote-unquote medical advice that you should take, 70 milligrams of aspirin a day in case you have a heart attack as a prophylaxis. That's all well and grand and all that crap, but in a lot of people, it will cause problems with your hearing.
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, that's the first I've ever heard of that. But I'm sure that every single thing that's out there, has got side effects. I mean, probably drinking too much water will screw you up too.
Oh yeah, dihydrogen monoxide. People have died from that. Yeah, stay tuned here to 3885 or thereabouts, because I'm not exactly on 3885, for more weird stuff.
Are you guys using VFO or Crystal?
I'm on a 1957 Junkston 500. Same VFO you have.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a lot of use out of that VFO, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, this one drifts on this band, and I may never fix it. I had the Chernobyl resistor that had been replaced sometime in the past. I was on the second Chernobyl resistor. The guy replaced it with the same thing from the factory, and it melted down, and smoke was coming out. It was great.
Yeah, mine went bad too, like 20 years ago. I replaced it with a 10-watt wire round, and it's kind of been okay since, but it doesn't have that many hours on it.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it. If you don't do that, the damn resistor drifts down in value, and you start sucking all kinds of current, and the supply source impedance is low enough that it can deliver lots of power, and it will melt your regulator tube. It will literally take the glass envelope and it will suck in. Your regulator tube will look really bad, and things will start to smell really funny.
Yeah, well, you got those two phenolic boards that are in there, you know, inside the VFO, so it'll catch fire too.
Well, if you leave it on, yes, but mine was right on the edge of catching fire. It was funny because when that happened, the day that happened, I was on a mission to fix it, and fixed it, and then my modulator blew up also, which is was an AB1 transistor modulator. I'm not using tube modulator here. I'm using a Class H radio power amp now, but I had an AB1 smaller version, and the damn thing crapped out the very same day after I fixed the Chernobyl resistor. Imagine that.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of stuff that always happens. You fix one thing and you find another.
Yep. So I remember the Shirelles. Shirelles do a lot of stuff with Phil Spector.
No, that was whatchamacallit. God, I don't think the Shirelles were part of the Royal of Sound. Right now, it's escaping me. The Crystals were part of the Spector organization, and Ronnie and the Ronettes are their famous ones. I think the Marvelettes may have been also.
Yeah, I'm looking that up here because I kind of remember some of their stuff and their sound, but they, like you say, they were a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah, the Shirelles go back there. I think they started like in about 1957. You know, they were four girls from Pacific.
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing here. Yeah, never realized that. It's fun to look all this stuff up and filter out, you know, the internet Bravo Sierra filter. Everyone needs to develop one.
You know, I tell you, you look up that, look up Phil Spector, and I mean, there's a creepy guy, but, you know, a lot of interesting stuff, you know, about, you know, the girl groups in the 1960s and stuff like that. It's pretty amazing, you know, how these young kids came around, you know, singing gospel, singing in high school. You know, they were really, you know, big for their time as it was.
Yeah, it was nuts, but he was brilliant, and he could hear stuff, and he knew what to do, and you could put him in a stressful situation, he could make stuff happen. The Wall of Sound, that worked really, really well for a lot of years, and then, you know, afterwards, like John Lennon, you know, he took out a gun and pointed it at him, you're not performing enough.
That's what I was going to say. Phil Spector, I mean, he's a weird guy, but Jesus, what a good producer.
You know, you read about these guys, and, you know, as successful as a lot of them are, you know, Spector being one of them, he's got his own issues, but a lot of the singers themselves, you know, guys like Del Shannon and stuff like that, you know, here's a young guy in the prime of his life, you know, and he plugs himself with a 22.
How about Terry Kath?
What happened with him?
He was the guitarist from Chicago. You know, 25 or 6 to 4. You listen to that. Jimi Hendrix told him he was a better guitar player than he was. And the guy, I guess what, 1975 or 6, somewhere in there. playing Russian roulette, just like what's-his-face there from Pledging My Love back in the 50s. Same thing, Russian roulette. He told somebody, don't worry, it's not loaded.
Yeah, that's the way it always is. Man, I'm telling you. You know, I can't see, hurting myself and shooting myself. I mean, I can see myself shooting other people, but not me.
That's because you're Hungarian. You could see yourself shooting somebody else. Of course. Why would you waste a bullet on yourself when you could shoot somebody else?
You know what, I agree. This brings back a great story. So here I am. I'm a young kid. I'm living on Plum Street in New Brunswick, and there's another Hungarian guy lives across the street from me, and he's probably like in his late 50s, and he's got a wife in her 40s, and she's really hot too, And so the 40-year-old wife apparently decides, okay, she's going to get a younger boyfriend to take care of her. So out of desperation, this guy, he shot himself 6 times and survived.
Some guy in the chat just said Terry Kath played Russian roulette.
Well, Terry Kath thought that, I don't know if it was Russian roulette, but whatever. He blew his hole in the side of his head.
Yeah, so this guy shot himself 6 times. He had powder burns on the side of his face, across his forehead, and everything else. He just never put the end of the barrel directly, perpendicular to his head. He had it sideways.
You could take somebody, that's the thing about guns. It's an inexact science, like Bruce Lee's kid, Brandon Lee, had a blank charge and was trying it out before they filmed and put it up against the side of his head and killed himself with with no projectile, just stuff coming out, just a charge coming out. I mean, guns. That's the problem with guns. Here's the thing, Bill, that bugs me about guns. You have all these criminals out there shooting each other, and they're in the cities, they get released on parole or whatever, and they're shooting each other. And they hit somebody's baby or 2-year-old kid or some revered kid on the playground gets killed. These guys, none of them know how to shoot worth of crap. So what I'm thinking we need to do is we need to give good lessons to all these criminals before we let them out on parole on how to shoot. So whatever it is they're aiming at, they can hit it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a sad story. For many years I worked in Newark, and Newark has basically, on average, 1 shooting a day, of which usually 1/3 of them involve a fatality. So statistically, I mean, you just look at Newark. Newark is going to have anywhere from 325 to 375 shootings in a year, and they're going to have anywhere from 100 to 125 fatalities. And I'll tell you, a lot of them are exactly what you just said. A young little kid is asleep on the 2nd floor of a house, and the parents go in the morning or something to go find the kid, and the kid's dead because of a drive-by shooting and basically, bullets coming through the 2nd floor through a frame house.
Which is why we need the pre-parole ballistics training for all parolees, so that they know that if they're going to shoot at a rival gang member or somebody that owes them money, that's who they get.
It's amazing. Like, I don't know if you saw it on the news the other day. There was a shooting in Chicago the other day. They must have expended 100 rounds, and of the 100 rounds, I think they had 3 hits. I don't know if they were the hits they were looking for or whatever, but 100 rounds for 3 hits. It's like, come on.
You know what I heard that kind of made me scratch my head?
That shooting should not be shooting. No, 3%. You're not even supposed to take the thing out unless you know you have a clean shot. What's up with that?
No, they don't worry about a clean shot. I'm telling you, it's like they just keep pulling that trigger.
Yeah, I was working in the Empire State Building when that guy went. I don't know if you remember it, back in 2012. Guy got fired and basically financially ruined, so he went back into the little shop where he worked, decided he's going to blow away his boss. It was right across the street on 33rd Street from Empire State Building. So this guy takes his car and he parks it on the other side of 5th Avenue, and he walks into the place and blows away his boss. And the guy walks out into the street and collapses in one of those flower gardens right there on 33rd Street and bleeds to death. And this guy's escape route is to go across 5th Avenue in the middle of the day, right? So there's a bunch of guys up on, construction workers up on a giant scaffold that's going up the side of the Empire State Building. They're working on God knows what, but it was a big scaffold. It was really deep, wide, and these guys could see everything. And they're yelling at cops, because there's always like a 6'6" cop who has been through hell and back and knows what he's doing, and his buddy on 5th Avenue at the front of the Empire State Building. They probably work for Homeland Security. Anyway, these guys, construction workers, are like, there he goes, there he goes. So they pointed out the perpetrator who was trying to flee from his crime. And there were bullets flying every place. And there were a lot of people that got hit and stuff that happened. You don't hear about that. It's bizarre. This is the middle of Manhattan, and people are getting hurt big time. You don't hear about what happened there.
You know what I have to say about I heard something crazy about that, and cops in that town, they're issued pistols, but they're not like standard, right? They have 9-pound triggers on them. I guess for safety or whatever, but like, think about that. How are you gonna hit anything? You gotta pull that hard on the trigger. You're just not. 9-pound trigger on their pistols.
Actually, it's 12-pound triggers.
What?
Yeah, what they do is the Police Department of New York City contracts with Glock. They have modified Glock 17s, 9 millimeters, and they put 12-pound triggers in them because when they first went to automatic pistols, they wanted the cop to think that he was basically handling a revolver. And a revolver, okay, when it's operated in a double action mode, is about a 12-pound trigger. I mean, if you pull the hammer back, it's about a 3-pound pull. But when you go ahead and you shoot that revolver, where you're actually, bringing back the hammer and everything else with the trigger and the internal mechanism, it's a 12-pound pull. A normal Glock is 5.5 pounds, and you can get a disconnector that's like down to 3.5 pounds, but yeah, 12 pounds.
Well, there you go. Like, how the hell are you going to hit anything?
No, you can't. You'll wind up pulling that thing, and as you squeeze that trigger, and because the Glock is a double action only, you just can't pre-cock it and shoot the thing right. With a 12-pound pull, the guy with a right hand shooter is going to wind up pulling to the lower left.
Yeah. How the hell are you going to squeeze it that hard without ruining your aim? That's bizarre.
Well, there you go.
Basically qualify at 5 yards. So if you can't hit a full body target at 15 feet, come on.
5 yards.
Yeah, whatever. Dave, you got to look into that 80% stuff I told you about.
Yeah, I have. And we'll talk about that.
Rajo.
W2, very weak, here on Beechwood Mountain.
And Whiskey 2, Charlie Alpha.
W2BTK.
Anyway, folks, this has been a blast. I think I need to sign out of here. It's been a long day. Had a lot of fun. Really nice running into you, Bill. Billy's always fun, and Bruce might still be out there. I don't know. Everybody else on the Twitch stream. Your Twitch stream is working, Billy. People can check out the flavor of this stuff that goes on here, and if they can ignore all the crazy crap, they have a filter. So, you know what? Bill over there in North Brunswick, we're going to be in touch. And thank you. I'm going to listen out here for a bit. I drifted all the way down to 3884.7. And somebody should report me to the Federal Communications Commission. 212-334-3437. 201 Barrack Street, New York. Good night. W2 very weak.
All right, Dave, look at it. Thank you very much to both you and Billy here for letting me get in here. Very enjoyable evening. I'll be looking for you guys. I'm going to get out of here, too. I'm going to go hit the sack. I got to go feed my outside cat right now. But in any case, so 73s to you guys. I hope to get you in here, and again, I will. So W2BW and also W2BTK. This is W2CA. We're out of here. We're QRT. Good night, guys.
Yeah, best fun I've had on here in a long time.
Yeah, good stuff, Dave and Bill. Glad to catch you out here. Dave, I'm glad that you convinced me to get back on the air, because this was fun. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. And Bill, hopefully you've knocked all the dust off that thing, and I hear you out here again pretty soon, right? So, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. W2BTK live streaming on Twitch TV/Amateur Radio Live.
Guys, good night. W2CA QRT.
W2 very weak.
All right, well, there you go, folks. So the second half of the Saturday night stream, Dave convinced me to get back on the air. I was going to go to sleep, but hey, we got all that good content out of it. So not quite as many viewers this time around, but geez, it's late. So, yeah, fine business there, Mr. YC156. A tube with handles. I hopefully I get my emotes back soon. I re-uploaded them and they're pending approval from Twitch. So, oh gosh, you know, they have to be manually reviewed, like I'm some kind of criminal. But whatever. There's lots of weird punishments that you get on Twitch, like when you change your name and this and that. So I don't need to understand it. I'm having fun. Thank you guys for hanging out. And yeah, it's been Saturday Night Ham Radio Part 2. So I swear this time I'm going QRT. I'm signing off for the night. So who the hell's on the air? Oh, it's Dave. Well, huh. All right. Yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Hey, Jimmy's, thanks for stopping by, man. I hope you had fun. Well, I may or may not do a little stream tomorrow, like I said before. If I do, it's only going to be about an hour or so. Just something real quick. Chatting with the boys. But if not, I'll probably catch you guys next Thursday. We're going to hold down the Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing while I'm working full time. So, yeah. Thanks for being there. You guys rock. So we'll see you next time. Signing off. Peace out, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. Oh, you know what? Maybe somebody is streaming who I might want to raid. Let's see who the hell is, who's at it right now.
Let's go. Big one's up. Oh, neutral.
It's all good. I'm just gonna shut this bitch down. I don't really see anybody interesting out there, so peace out, guys. Thanks for stopping in.